Welcome back to another JERiCK podcast episode. My name is JERiCK.
And I'm Felicia.
And I'm Kathy.
Hey, welcome, Kathy.
Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you.
Thanks
Such an
for coming
honor.
on to
The podcast.
JERiCK.
JERiCK podcast.
I love it. I love the vibes in here. It's really great.
Hey.
Thank you. She gave us a grounding exercise prior to this, which was much more of a higher level than our normal breathe in, but it was very nice.
Yeah,
think
that
you
is
should-
true.
You should tell the audience at the end to do what it was.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
Nice,
we'll do that.
A nice little thing. I
To
think
like
it's cool.
close it up.
Yeah.
We can do that.
A little homework assignment.
That's true. But so normally we start the podcast with the weekly interest. Do you want to start, Felicia?
Of course I do.
All right, go ahead.
Listen here. I
You've
don't
been
know.
talking about it.
I
I'm
don't
kind of
know.
curious.
I know.
What's
She was-
going on with
she
you?
was- She was hyping it up before the podcast. She's like, I got something really cool.
No.
And she releases that only at the podcast.
It's really not that cool, but it's cool for me. No, it is about Stray Kids.
I
Whether
knew
you
it.
know them or not. But Stray Kids dropped their album on the 19th, their EP.
Oh, Last
and it
week?
was amazing to me. I've
Okay.
listened to the album at least a million times,
She's already mentioned Stray Kids in the podcast.
at least 3 times. I
At
know
least
people are going to be
probably
they're
2 or
like,
3
"What the
times."
heck?"
Is she getting sponsored?
Hashtag Stray Kids, okay? You will get their followers. They will watch because I talk about them at the beginning.
Okay.
Okay? It is like a community out there. Like, they don't
I'm
mess
sure
around.
they got a big community.
But
No.
I'm very unfamiliar with,
Stray Kids.
Can
So
you tell me the
explain
genre?
it to her.
Don't you worry because I was too, trust me.
Who are the Stray Kids? Because I don't think she knows.
They're a Korean pop group.
Oh, okay.
8 members,
Okay.
yeah.
Wait, do you like K-pop?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I'm not like a hardcore fan, but I can bounce with it, you know?
And they've
Yeah.
been around for a while. I stumbled upon them. Thank you, TikTok.
I know,
now has
that's
also
Discover Weekly.
Oh yeah,
Back in.
of course.
Yeah.
But just something about their music, for whatever reason, I haven't really been excited about a lot of new music. And I think just because it incorporates so many different genres, and I also like their visuals, and then the songs, and then the people, and then even I'm going into like their story and how they came up and whatnot.
Oh,
but
that's cool. You're a true fan
I'm a
now.
fan now. But no, their album dropped on the 19th, 8.
Okay.
ATE. But they have some really good songs. There's one in particular, the song is Running, I think is so far my favorite. Only because I really resonate with it. It's kind of like saying, it's my time to shine. Like, I'm not going to fall, like, no matter what takes place. I'm going to
On
keep
the
going.
podcast. It's her time to shine.
So in my mind, I'm like, photography, that's me. I'm running.
Hey, at least their songs is about, kind of motivation. And
No, it's true. Like,
there's
listening
actual
to that
message
song-
to the songs.
And then like that whole weekend, I like flipped a switch, and my husband had gone to Sacramento to film Herb's DJ session.
Okay.
And he came back and he's like, "Man, this must be a really good album because like basically like what the fuck." I had like a huge realization in terms of my life and control, and
Really?
so I have a daily mantra now.
So
and so
it's really affected you
it
that
has,
much.
like it really has. And I wish I could like call them up and be like, "Hey, I just want to know how influential you've been."
Hey.
And I'm sure they are like that with everybody, but yeah, so every day when I feel like I'm kind of slipping or kind of getting into my moods or my moments, I'm just like, "Felicia, you're in control. You're in control." Because there's a lot of things in your life that you can't control, so you can't really look at the uncontrollables. But I think there's a lot of things in my life that I could have done at least a little bit better, prepared for, been a little bit more in control of. So it's like all those things that I'm hating right now, I can fix at least, right? And that's the key.
Yeah.
I can fix,
Yeah.
all the things that I control, I can fix. So every
Can
day.
Control.
Damn, that's very powerful. That's good.
Thank you,
because,
Stray Kids.
because music or even other entertainment too has like that effect on people. When you watch a movie and it's like very
Yeah.
inspiring movie, I was like,
Absolutely.
oh man, like you know what I mean? I get why you would feel that way. So
Yeah, it's all in art. True artistry.
I think that's what art's supposed to do, right?
Yeah, that is true.
Inspire
That is
the
true.
human-
Yeah.
The human condition.
Absolutely.
You can't get that type of gratification with some scientific journal, you know?
I mean, like, maybe for the
Yeah, for
the scientist people.
You're the person that wrote it, but but no, it's been good. So they might be a hot topic for me for the next who knows what.
I mean, she's been telling me to check out Stray Kids, and I still haven't.
You
no.
are such. I looped my sister and I sucked her in. And
But I
so
will.
We went on a tangent and we're like, we're gonna start a group called the Stray Moms. And we're gonna start a fan base.
What's their
moms.
fan? Do you know their fan group name?
No. Oh, Stay.
Stay.
Stays. Yeah.
Stays.
I'm a Stays.
Okay.
Not a stay-at-home mom, but I'm a Stays.
Do they have like what is it, the fan lights yet?
The fan lights?
Like, you know how Blackpink has like a hammer?
Really?
Yeah. BTS
See,
also.
I'm so
You're
out
not
of-
deep enough
No,
yet,
see,
Felicia.
I'm so out of like I've never looked at K-pop. There was a few BTS songs I enjoyed, but I've never been stuck on like let me listen to every song.
You don't even like
watch it.
Blackpink?
I liked Blackpink. I liked components of Blackpink. I like watching their story. But they're
I like their
disbanded.
music.
They're not.
Yeah.
Now
I mean, their
it's-
music
Now
was
it's all
good,
about
though.
Lisa.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do love Lisa. She's my favorite one.
But they're just good performers too. You know, and sometimes you don't get that a lot, especially in concerts. Like
That's
the whole production, you know, in addition to their talent, I guess.
Yeah, because I feel like K-pop really takes their entertainment very seriously.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
they're
they
just
start
like
training at
Yeah.
night.
That's-
like
they're
I
just
know.
on a
On
different
YouTube,
level.
you can watch like the reality show to it, and I'm like, bro, you guys really worked.
Yeah,
Like that is
it's crazy. It's like boot camp, pretty much.
Yeah, nuts. But okay, but that was
Yeah,
good.
that's
Go
cool. I like Stray Kids. Well, I'm probably gonna like
Do
Stray
you,
Kids.
JERiCK? Don't lie. Name one song.
we want to see a hammer next time.
We want to.
Everybody bring in their favorite K-pop.
All right. Well, I guess I'll go next. So I've been really into YouTube streamers or just streamers in general lately. I've just been on that YouTube kind of rabbit hole, and I've been watching Valkyrae. Do you know her?
Yes.
She's
She's,
a big-
an OG.
Yeah, she's a big gamer. She's
Yeah.
Filipina, half Filipina.
I think our friend Christian like loved her too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Christian watches this podcast too, so I'm sure. I'm sure he's gonna say something about Valkyrae. Because I feel my friends too, like they watch a lot of like streamers.
Yeah.
And they're a big fan of like Valkyrae and like Pokemon. And I just been really into like I don't know, watching like streaming. I'm like, this is interesting. Maybe I should try it.
This is horrible, but when you say you're watching streamers, this is you watching them play games, right?
Yeah, there's like different like some people play games, some people like do like real life stuff, like people cook, like do cooking streams.
Like live?
So basically live
Everything's
stream.
live? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's just everything's live stream. They're doing whatever they're doing. But I've been watching the video stuff. Like I haven't really watched like a live stream yet. But it's more of like the
pre-recording or the after
the-
recording.
Yeah, I guess like the saved videos of their live streams.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Like I just been following Valkyrie. I was like, oh, she's interesting.
And
She's
really
also
nice.
very cute. So
Yeah, she's
that's,
really cute.
that's probably why.
cute. Oh.
That's probably why.
There's a motive, always is.
And she's also single.
Well, how old is she, JERiCK?
She's
This podcast is
32.
for you,
Okay,
girl.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Valkyrie.
she's around our age. Yeah, she's really been interesting. I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah.
There's
Maybe I'll look into it.
Something really fun about watching really good gamers play. Because
Yeah.
I could never do that. I don't have the skills or patience for that, but
I'm one of
Yeah.
those, like,
And you know what it is too? Like there's
Yeah,
something
yeah.
about this like watching people do something. So like reactions are like really big too. Like
yeah.
people actually watch people watching things, which
yeah,
is
like
so
my
interesting.
son.
It's like it's such a I guess it makes you kind of think it's I think there's like a real you can relate to the person, right? Like if they watch a specific video like Stray Kids, somebody do a reaction of Stray Kids and be like, oh, I had the same reaction and like I feel the same
I
way.
think that's what happened.
Yeah.
It was a reaction video that I saw, and it focused on one of the artist's voice. His name is Felix Bebel. I won't get into it.
It's like you can share that experience.
Yeah, it's like
And
a
I was
shared
like,
experience.
"Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I know, but it's so interesting to me because I feel like music videos or shows or like theater, movies, like that's like an entertainment. But I can't.
There's another level to
I can't see myself watching like somebody else play a game. But my son does.
Yeah.
He's like, well, he's 6. But then
He's at that prime age.
but then like he's watching like other families play hide and seek or like do imaginary and I'm like, kiddo, go do it in your room. He's like, no, I want to watch it. Like, what do you mean? And he's like stoked about it, but
Yeah, there's just like something about like reaction videos that are like, it's so interesting to me too. Because I have been doing like reactions. I used to do reactions before
Really?
of like Filipino singers.
Oh.
So I'd done a lot of like music reactions, and it was cool because so people would react to my. That's actually how my YouTube blew up a few years ago. Because I don't know, they like their favorite artists, and then they like watching people watching their favorite artists. If that makes sense.
they want to see the satisfaction that they get with other people.
Exactly.
Shared experience.
Yeah, because that's how I got into it, because I found somebody doing a reaction. I was like, oh, that seems fun. And so like now I'm like slowly getting back into it too. Like I've been doing Demon Slayer anime reaction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Because in my head I was like, I'm already gonna watch the anime. Might as well make content out of it. I'm just addicted to making content, so it's yeah.
Sell that
Yeah.
for other people too.
It's part of the grind. It's part of the grind.
I do love like Cody Ko, his channel. Have you
Okay,
seen him?
I've heard of him, but I've never watched him.
Yeah, he's a reaction channel. He's like pretty big, but he reacts to like silly shows. So like all the Jubilee.
Oh, okay.
Phil, like and The Button, which is just like a dating show, and he's just like makes his funny commentary about it
Yeah.
because some of the videos he records is just so cringy. Like he like reacts to like this TLC show that's called MILF Manor. I don't know. If
Oh God! Even the name itself is like, what
that's
the
how you
heck?
know it's bad. But seeing someone react to it takes out the cringiness because you're like, this is wrong all around.
And especially too if they're like entertaining enough to watch when they actually have like, because I watch a lot of like reactions, and some of them are really good. Like they're just so engaging, and like they make really good points. I'm still like working on it. Like I'm still kind of
Right.
but it's gonna get there. I feel like the more I do it, probably the more I get comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, that's my weekly interest. Valkyrie is my interest.
Valkyrie.
Trying to manifest here, Felicia.
Yes, so am I. Just kidding.
Stray Kids,
The concert. Me going to a concert. They also do fan calls.
Oh, there you go. Maybe you could do fan
That
calls.
should be part of the podcast.
I know. Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be fun.
Find all the people that do fan calls, and then we'll fan call them in. It's like 10 seconds, but still.
All right. How about you, Kathy?
So last week, me and my partner Ian went to Chicago.
Ooh.
It was a great time.
First time?
No, we love the city so much. So this is our third time this year.
Shit.
Third time
Wow.
This year.
this year.
Oh,
This
shit.
year,
Yeah, I missed
Yeah,
that.
she travels. That's good.
It's just our favorite place. But house music originated in Chicago, and I'm very much a house head.
Ooh, Felicia is too. I mean, she loves house music.
Let's go,
Yeah.
let's go, Felicia. But there's this artist that we wanted to like watch, and his name is Never Dull.
Okay.
And his type of house music is Motown house music.
Whoa.
Can you imagine that? Like,
That's kinda
Interesting.
cool.
yeah.
I've actually never heard of that.
Mountain high enough.
So it's just like a little
Wow.
classic.
Yeah, and then he would do like a house twist to it,
Oh, that's sick.
which is Yeah, so highly recommend everyone.
Send me that.
What's his name?
Never dull.
Never dull.
Because his set is never dull, you know? I was like,
Okay.
it's a good play
Very
on
nice.
words. But I had an event the next day at 8 a.m. and we were out already and it was 2 a.m. and I was like, Ian, I don't want to leave. So
Oh, you
I
just
was
stayed
like-
up all night?
I was committed. I was like, this is just too fun.
Oh my gosh.
I went home
Hey.
eventually though.
I got 20 minutes of sleep.
Just a week, but it was a great time.
Oh,
Hey, that's
good.
fun.
I mean, I think that's important. So.
I've never been to Chicago.
Neither have
Been
I.
to New York.
I've been to New York. What brought you there the first time?
The first time was for Lollapalooza.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Felicia, maybe you should go.
No, I think it's already
fun.
coming up.
Oh yeah, it's August. Yeah, that's when Lollapalooza is. But yeah, so New York is really cool.
Yeah.
Chicago is really cooler.
Really?
Okay.
New York is like, I might get some hate for this, but like Chicago's really clean.
Uh-huh.
Really clean.
Okay.
We go home late.
Wow. Okay. I'm gonna let you finish your story and then I'm gonna chime in.
Okay.
Okay.
At 2 a.m., the city workers are cleaning the streets.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
Like
wow.
they're deep cleaning at 2 a.m. and
Oh, gee.
I just think it's like a lot, like talking to Chicago people, they're just really friendly and there's a lot of history there. I've only been to New York once, so I need to do New York again.
Mhm.
But I had just Chicago every time. They have the best food too.
Yeah.
'Cause there's so many Michelin restaurants there.
Oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
wow.
We went to Kasama, one of the first Filipino Michelin star restaurants,
Oh.
for my partner's birthday, and
sick.
that was crazy. Yeah.
Dang.
So I just have a very biased opinion of Chicago.
I've never been to Chicago, so I don't know what it's like in there. I've been to New York, and you are right. Like, I do love New York, but it's also very dirty. Yeah, but I was just in Japan, and Tokyo is a big city too, but it's super clean.
Super clean.
I was surprised on how clean everywhere is. Like, there's no trash in like the roads. It was just like crazy.
The train station?
Yeah,
Like
super
you
clean
can eat
too.
off the floor in the train station. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just crazy how clean it is. And it's just good because like big city, you would think like, oh, it's trash everywhere, but you know, if people actually keep it clean, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Standards.
Yeah, you gotta have
Discipline.
standards.
Come on, USA, get it together.
I know, exactly. Get that
Really the
shit
worst.
together.
I'm like, God, clean the bathroom. That's all I ask.
Can we get like a bidet that sings to us, you know?
Exactly.
Did you
Bidet?
experience that?
God.
A bidet that's like you can play music so no one hears your business.
Oh,
that's
that's
genius.
nice.
Yeah.
You know what I really enjoy when I go to restrooms and the stalls have like the seams so no one walking by can see you? Ultimate privacy. I enjoy that. You know, like, so you know how normally there's like gaps
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
stalls and like anybody can look at you.
Yeah.
It's like, I see you.
Oh,
with
you're
your
talking
pants
about
down.
like gap on like the door?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I always appreciate it when, you know, the place goes an extra level above to give you
Yeah.
that privacy. If you're not showing your ass to everybody.
That's true. You get those kids that like
God.
waiting for their moms and then they look through the door. I'm like,
Or even people too. They're just like trying to see if it's open. And I'm like, yes, I'm here doing my business. God. Like my doctor.
Girl problems.
Oh, I know. I guess for guys, it's much different. Like when I see guys go into the bathroom together, I'm just like, and you guys go to the stall or the urinal, right? And so
Yeah.
you're next to each other.
does it get
So
awkward?
is that weird?
Yeah.
so there
I'm like,
That is a real question.
so there is an unspoken rule. Let's say there's 3 stalls.
Uh,
Two of them. Well, if this one is taken, normally you wouldn't go in the middle one.
Oh,
you would
okay.
go on the third one, right?
Uh-huh.
So there's like space,
right.
and then but if both sides are occupied, it was just like, well, it's if you really gotta go, then you gotta go.
wow.
Yeah. But then
Has it
it's
ever
just
got uncomfortable? Like, I don't know, because like people go to the bathroom a lot, so you
No.
must have had an incident. No?
not really.
Okay, that's good.
But sometimes people like I think like when you go to a bar, people are drunk,
Yeah.
and then they just start talking to you. I'm like, dude, I'm just like trying to
God.
pee right now. Like I'm
There-
not trying to have a conversation.
There is, I'm pretty sure it's here downtown, somewhere where there's stalls, like a women's bathroom stalls, but the stalls were this, like you could see here up.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's kind of weird.
I feel like that was
So when you're sitting down, you can
somewhere
see
down. Yeah, because I remember I went somewhere.
Wait, for girls?
Yes. And I think the reasoning behind it is because they had so many like, you know, unfortunate situations where maybe like people are doing drugs in the stalls or whatever. So to kind of like eliminate that or deter somebody from doing something like that, they just provided like this space. So like you're sitting on the toilet and it's like
And then what? People are just walking by, and then what if they're waiting on you?
Yeah.
And you just like lock eyes.
it was like, I'm like, here's me, here's you. And we're like, don't poop. Don't poop. And like if someone farts, bro, like everyone's going to see it.
All right, we're really starting this
I know.
podcast really strong.
Please find that bar. I will want to know,
I
what bar
know.
not to go to.
I feel like though it was the El Corte. I don't know.
Yeah.
It wasn't
okay.
like it was
That's
like
just very
a
odd.
weird downstairs. Anyways, I'm gonna look it up. I'm sure someone wrote a story about it somewhere.
That is so.
Anyways,
Yeah, I would not
but
want to
over
look at
now.
anyone's face.
Yeah. Well, that's good. At least we have all. Seems like we had an interesting week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. But anyways.
Valkyrie.
Yeah, Valkyrie.
Add Valkyrie.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna meet her someday.
Yeah, me too.
I know if Christian's watching this, he's gonna comment right now and be like, dude,
In your dreams.
I'm gonna manifest that. She seems cool. Anyways,
Let's hope she is. You could be
I
really,
know, right?
you'd be really upset.
I know. I'll be like, she's gonna be like a real not good person. It seems like she is though.
Dreams come to die.
I know.
know.
No
right?
person.
Can you imagine you meet somebody that's like you look up to and then they're just an asshole?
Sometimes that's the case.
Yeah.
That's the case sometimes, and
Yeah.
you just. I think a lot of people put celebrities and people like in a pedestal.
Yeah.
So anything falling from that, it's just kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. Is like I never really look at celebrities that way. I
Yeah.
always look at them as like, if I meet them, it's like it's gonna be like a
Yeah.
we're kind of like, I guess, an equal.
Yeah,
playing
yeah,
terms.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I don't
that's
know.
good. That's
Yeah.
good because some people put them on pedestals, and that leads to more frightening conversations. Like you don't
Yeah.
really. You act more like a fangirl, you know?
Yeah. I guess like I'm just like I'm not a fanboy of like anybody. I guess
Right.
But he
Right.
will be with Valkyrie.
that's a different kind of fan.
But I feel like though
I
there
think
also
that's lover
is,
boy.
I feel like there's also a population of celebrities though who do take insult to people not treating them that way.
Yes.
It's like a
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Like they get
Do you
insulted
know
if you.
who I am.
Oh,
No.
Oh, J Lo. That is J Lo
if that's
for
the
sure.
first thing they,
Pulling over Justin Timberlake.
if that's the first thing that comes out of their mouth when I meet them, I'm just like, yeah, you're out. Next.
I know.
Like I don't give a fuck who you are. Like if
"Do
you
you know
say
who
that
I
kind of
am?"
shit, I'm like,
JERiCK from JIVij
I know.
podcast.
Like do you not know who I am?
Oh shoot.
Oh,
But anyways, let's stop talking
I
shit.
know. It's not shit.
It's not shit.
That
It's
is
all fun.
yeah,
Fun
it's all
and
fun and
games,
games.
reality,
We're just playing.
factual.
Oh yeah. So this week's topic. What was the topic this week?
The proliferation of technology.
We're using big words now.
That's what she said. I wrote it down. My memory is like this.
I just come from a very like academic background, so I'm like, oh, this is probably we
No,
should
you gotta
simplify
think-
this word.
So this is what I've learned about like social media, especially on like YouTube too. Like you gotta make it searchable terms.
Okay.
I feel like
The rise.
you don't want to use too many big words
Right.
because like nobody's gonna type that shit.
Yeah, no one's gonna.
You know it's gonna put proliferation
Yeah.
in YouTube.
I don't even
search?
know how to spell that shit to be honest. So,
We need to be a little bit more educated. People are like looking up the definition.
yeah.
I
Oh,
will.
man.
I do too.
No,
if I
so-
don't know what it means, I'm like, oh, looking it up.
All right, Kathy. So you gave us the title,
Yes.
which JERiCK now is not going to use.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, no, it's totally okay.
Before kind of like jumping into like the topic, very briefly, if you can, just kind of give a little bit of history and then kind of like why we're going to end up talking about this and how that involves you.
I think, thank you for that question. And I
And
just gauging the floor, you know? This is great. I think the reason why I wanted to talk about this because it's very connected to the work that I've been doing and the things that I'm realizing, especially with my growth and like spiritual journey even. So I guess like to paint a background, I actually come from tech. I came from TikTok and I like realized that, ooh, this is maybe not like the best thing for our mental health,
Right.
you know? And I was educated as a neuroscientist, so I'm like, there's something not here clicking.
right.
And I wanted to bring it up because last week in Chicago, I attended this festival called Possibility Festival. And the keynote speaker, Alex Benayan, he wrote The Third Door. And he was talking about we're exponentially growing in all technology, all industries, talking about healthcare, talking about like, I don't know, social media,
AI stuff too.
artificial intelligence. Like if you look at all industry, cross industries, education, everything is just like still like Zoom University. But with the higher increase of technology, we're losing the connectionness of what it means to be a human. And if we're looking at the stats, Generation Alpha is continuing to be one of the most depressed and anxious generation.
Wait, Generation Alpha, what age group is that?
The years.
I believe it is under around, don't quote me on this, but I think it's like under 17
Okay.
right now, or 18.
Okay, so what's Gen Z?
Gen Z is like,
20s?
yeah, Gen Z.
So Gen Z's
We're
and then Alpha.
millennials.
Yeah, so like millennials, Gen Z's, Gen Alpha.
Wow, what a name too. Gen
they
Alpha?
they ran out of letters, so I'm like, let's go back. And then the next one's gonna be Beta, so a bunch of like Beta kids.
Yeah, it's actually a Greek organization. That's why that fraternity.
Oh man.
Yeah, how did we go from boomers to like Alpha Zeta? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know why they call it Gen Z, but I mean, like, I guess somebody named it.
Zeta? Like,
I'm sure somebody knows.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure I could Google it.
yeah. Sorry to interrupt your story.
No.
Go ahead.
No. You're good. But if we're looking at the stats, a lot of Gen Alpha is becoming more depressed and anxious. And there's this what is it, like psychologist he interviewed who runs APA Associates of Psychology Association, and I definitely said that wrong, but pretty much he asked the psychologist like what's going on with Gen Alpha, and he's saying like these kids are aging the most out of like, you know, everyone at their age. So if you look at like these Gen Alpha, Gen Z's kind of, you'll notice a difference with their facial features.
Yeah.
I mean, like, do you notice that they're looking older?
I feel like I do.
Like physically?
but even even
physically.
like maturity, like body maturity. You know what I mean? Like you think people are 20 in their 20s and they're still like 15 years old.
Is it because like they dress differently, or
No, so this
just
is
like physical?
physical, like their face is aging and all that, and the research behind that is technology is like their cigarettes in the 1950s. They're so addicted to these technologies that, you know, what do you do with addiction with people who are addicted to drugs, people addicted to alcohol, sex, all that? It wears their body down. So we're looking at this generation that's obsessed with crime documentaries. They're desensitized to like the assassination of the past president. They're desensitized to these things because their dopamine is so high to take all of the stressors that comes with being on technology.
is because
Wow.
they get dopamine hit every time they go on social media. It's just like constant thing.
Constant. And
That makes sense. I actually never really looked at it like that too, that's interesting.
Yeah. And like coming from, just my household, like watching my son go through that,
Yeah.
like it literally is.
Because he's on the phone all the time,
Yeah,
right?
he's on, like he wants to watch YouTube or be on the iPad, you know what I mean? And we try to get it to where, if you're going to watch the iPad, I need you to watch something that's going to teach you something. But still like there's so much more interest for him to do that versus like, hey, go into your room, you have a ton of toys, like go play. Or
Yeah.
it's like he doesn't know, he's also an only child, and so unfortunately it's like he doesn't know how to be alone without technology in front of his face,
Interesting.
and that's always like, I don't know, I feel like that's always been a fear of mine. But it's like, how do you get them familiar with technology? Because obviously he's going to be using it for the entire length of his education.
Yeah.
Right. But then how do you not get them obsessed with it at the same time? I don't know.
yeah, because again, it's like there are these technology companies like the ones that I mentioned, like TikTok and like Facebook and all this. There's a whole team dedicated to make these apps addicting. Even like Google, Gmail, like there is a whole team, like user experience designers, like UX design, UX product managers. They're designed to make it addicting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Even like algorithms too. So like, because I pay attention to like YouTube algorithms a lot because I'm on YouTube, and like even the recommendations that they have on your like feed, you watch one video of something.
Right.
Let's say you watch,
Yeah.
let's say Stray Kids. I'm gonna use
Stray
Felicia as an
Kids.
example.
Although I don't mind.
You watch one, and then you refresh your feed, and then there's gonna be like, a couple of other Stray Kids videos, and it's just like, oh, you like this one thing, we're gonna feed you
Yeah,
more
we're
of
going to
that.
show you more.
Which is like, as a content creator, it's like you can use that as your advantage, but then it's just like, I don't know what the healthy balance of I guess technology usage then.
Yeah, it's fascinating because you're talking about like this YouTube rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And you kind of find yourself in this echo chamber of the things that you want.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your perspective of life? Like, can you see outside of the perspective that your algorithm is giving you? That's really scary, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true actually.
Yeah.
Because now you're given like a very narrow path as far as like material and information. And so then that becomes like your bias, like your judgment. You know what I mean?
Truth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That
exactly.
is true.
And so it's like, are you or are you them? You know what I mean? Because I feel like even in the earlier days of like Instagram, that kind of was a thing, like prior to TikTok, right? Is like you have all these influencers, you have all these people that are living like these amazing lives and they're doing fitness, and it's like they're doing everything that you're not doing, and that puts you in like a very, depressed state because your life's not like that, you know what I mean? So
Like kind of living like through their lens in a way.
or seeing how your life is not like at a level of where you think it should be, just based off the influence of
Yeah.
social media.
Personally, I used to think like that when I would watch a YouTuber, and then they would like live a really cool life from my perspective, right?
Right.
Like they have all this money, they're doing all this cool stuff. I'm like, man, like I get a little like envious in a way,
Right.
but I look at it differently now. Now that I'm a little bit more mature,
How
Yeah.
do you look at it now?
Yeah. What's the?
it's more of
What
like
is secure?
Yeah. What's the shit?
no. So, for example, I was watching Valkyrie and Pokemon.
Shout out Valkyrie.
Correct.
I mean, not gonna lie, I'm gonna admit, because like I do
Keyword on
think
this podcast now.
hashtag.
Hashtag, please.
I mean, they're cuties, so like I'm not gonna deny that. But like just like so, I watched one episode where she bought a new car, and it was like a Lambo, and I was like, normally before I would like, you don't really need that, whatever, you know what I mean? Like you get a little like envious that like they're living their best life.
Dying in Africa.
Yeah,
Valkyrie.
exactly. And but then when when I was watching it, I was like, that's a lot of fun. Like, I'm excited to like live that life. It's more of like,
Now you're seeing it as opportunity.
yeah. So like, it makes me excited of like what's to come.
Right.
And for me, like I talked about this in the podcast before, like money is not the ultimate goal for me. It's more of like my freedom to get to do what I want and to like influence people to, you know, be better.
Right.
So like when I look at all this stuff, like when they do like, oh, house tour, like they live in this like super
Right.
fancy place, I look at it as like, oh man, like if I can see it, I can believe it, kind of thing.
Can I just acknowledge you for something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I just want to say, you know, your realization that life isn't about money, especially being Filipino immigrants. That's like kind of what's told for us to do. You realizing it at this age, you're like light years ahead of a lot of the population.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people wake up, you know, and thought they made it, but they feel empty inside. And to recognize that early on is, you know, really important.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm also a little bit older, just, you know, but I don't look that way.
The wisdom.
Wisdom.
Wisdom. Wise man.
But yeah, I think it's just like perspective. Like when you look at how does your feed affect you?
Right.
Like,
So I kind of want to ask a question
Go for
that
it.
came up when you were talking, because so I know, you know, you said you had your perspective shift as far as, you know, looking at these people who are, you know, getting like grandiose things, right? And
Yeah.
and you're looking at it like, oh wow, like that's an opportunity. But and I sometimes I'm like, why does my brain go this way? But I kind of asked the question though too, you know, they're presenting this image, right? Like, oh, I bought this Lambo or I have this wonderful house. But that's the only snippet of that moment that you saw.
yeah.
So what I think too is like, what really is the reality, or what was the entire process of that person getting to that moment?
Of
you know.
the behind the scenes of that moment,
No,
or just like
just
an overall.
the overall, like the, you know what I mean? Like at what cost?
Yeah.
Right.
it's,
Like what was the work that you had to put in, or
yeah,
you
that is
know,
a good point.
What did you have to give up, or what kind of deal did you have to
Yeah,
make? You
'cause
know.
that is a good point, because yes, I have seen the grand side of things. So like they have this big house, all these nice things, but then I've also watched interviews of them when they're talking about, oh, when I used to work 4 jobs.
Right.
So it's like I see the perspective of the struggle of like from nothing to you know, to something.
Do you think that changed your perspective?
It does. It's
Before
because
you're
yeah.
like, you don't need that, and now you're like, that could be me because I'm in the works of it.
Exactly. Because like so one of her interviews, she was like, oh yeah, when I used to work 4 jobs, I used to work GameStop and like the bank and all the whatever jobs she did. And like before she even blew up streaming, like she would, you know, she just worked so hard.
Right.
And then she grew up from like not, I guess they were basically poor.
Right. Struggle.
So just like seeing the perspective from like that to this, it's
Right.
like, oh, if she can do it, I can do it too. And that's what I always kind of want to, I guess, inspire people in this podcast. Is like, that's why I like to focus on this kind of conversation, is because we all struggle at some point.
Right.
Maybe some people don't financially, but like
Right.
we all have different struggles. But so like I just want it to be like there's options out there. It's not just like, oh, you have to go in this traditional route and you have to just do that in order to be successful financially.
yeah.
Right.
I think people want to, on social media, they want to show you things that they want to show people, not
Yeah.
necessarily like kind of what you're saying, like the works of it. And like that really resonated with me because over the last year, like I traveled a whole bunch. You know, I went to Hawaii, I went to Japan, I went to the Philippines, I went to Chicago
This
twice.
year alone?
Yeah, I went to San Diego.
Just kidding.
I say that, right? I say that. this is what I show on my like social media, right?
Yeah.
But I used this opportunity because I was fun employed. I was like, I'm not gonna have
Okay.
I'm not gonna have 2 weeks. I only have like 2 or 3 weeks ever if I'm employed. But I was like struggling so hard with like, oh man, like I need to I need to find my next thing, and like through my next thing I just had to like I wanted to fill my time with things that made me happy. So while I did all these exciting travel activities like for the last year, I was so lost in my career until recently.
Yeah.
So yeah, people just want to show you what they want to show you because that's
The highlights.
the
Yeah.
highlights.
So I do want to say something because, and I don't know if you said it while in the podcast or just before, but you said, there's this exponential increase in technology, but then a decrease in, you said happiness.
Yes.
That was the word that you used, and I think when you're only showing what you want to show, and typically it's all the good things in your life, imagine the audience that you're catering to, especially like the younger generation. Like they're growing up, like for instance, my son is growing up thinking that every family he watches on YouTube is a family that should be acting that way in real life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's kind of
And I feel like
scary.
no, and I feel like that's true, not just for his generation, but even, I went through my phase on Instagram where I was like trying to be in my health, and I followed all these fitness people, and they live these perfect diets and wear all these nice clothes and do all these things. You know what I mean?
Were you comparing yourself to them?
I think there is a lot of comparison. Yeah.
And was it how did you look at it? Was it inspiring to you, or was it like, oh man, I feel like shit because I'm not them?
I think I wanted it to be inspiring, but I don't think I was in the mental space to take it as just inspiration.
Yeah.
And instead, I took it as a way to kind of like beat myself up. You know what I mean? And I think that's like the biggest difference.
And that's the unhealthy side of
exactly.
things. Like you can,
yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're going to say what I'm going to go ahead.
well, because you can either look at it from a healthy side and not healthy side. Because I feel like social media as a platform, it's neither good or bad, I think.
Right. And it's like for your demise or for your good gracious of it, like, I don't know. I'm interested to see what your audience will take out of it. Like,
Yeah.
do a check with do an audit with the people that you're following. Do they, like Marie Kondo, that ish, like, does it give you joy?
Talked about her. Yeah, she talked about her on the podcast before. Yeah.
Oh, did you talk about it in this context? Or?
No, we didn't really go into, but we were talking about room and
Oh.
organization. I said you should look into the book because she talks about how items and energy, like it should spark joy, and if it doesn't, that energy doesn't belong to
And
you.
I feel like content in the same way too. It's like
You can see it.
is the thing that you're watching or you're consuming, is it giving you joy or not?
Yeah.
Is it giving you that guilt and shame that you don't have that
Yeah.
perfect lifestyle? Then I need to unfollow it, because being in a place of guilt and shame and like not enough is not how I'm gonna live my best life. You
Exactly.
know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good exercise.
Yeah.
Going through your feed.
Yeah. I've actually unfollowed some people.
Yeah, I've tried to do
Well,
that.
it's not that. It's just like, it's not that they're posting something bad. I was just like, oh, I don't really interact with them.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck it. Like, I don't need that.
Even like an interest thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Interesting. Yeah.
But I think now though, I guess it depends, like, right, on what your algorithm is, because I think it's built in such a way where sometimes if you are gravitating towards the right stuff, you'll keep continuing to get the right stuff.
Yeah.
But then it could also work against you, either in terms of like you watching things that you shouldn't be watching, or now it's completely like informing you and like creating your decisions for you. You know what I mean? So
That's true.
I just feel like it's such a,
It is interesting.
I don't know. It's a hard, I don't know. I don't know for myself. I don't know for my child. You know what I mean? Like how do we stay ahead of this almost like brainwashing? You know what I mean? Because I feel like to a point too that's the intention behind a lot of these like social media platforms too, especially when it comes to like government stuff, like political things. You know what I mean? It's like a form of constant like in your face.
Because I think it just really comes down to like self-awareness at that point.
But how do you get
Self-aware.
the younger generation to self-aware? Because they don't become self-aware until their
Yeah.
frontal lobe is developed.
Yeah, that's true too. It's like it's easy to say if I'm self-aware, and then it's like, oh yeah, just be self-aware. Like,
Yeah.
like don't you get it?
No, I'm 16, jerk.
Because like I get it because I wasn't self-aware until I got to a certain age.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's I don't know if I have the right answer for that. Like I don't know how to teach people to be self-aware.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't
because
think
like
it can be taught.
It's kind of through trial and error, right? Like you're not gonna wake up and then suddenly be like, oh, I'm self-aware.
yeah.
Yeah. Sort of like trials and errors that you have to go through.
So at the conference that you went to, was there, what did that guy say into like how to prevent it, or I guess
Yeah.
minimize that?
Because maybe it's not prevention, maybe it's balance. right?
Yeah.
I actually have it in my journal in my bag over there.
Grab it.
Yeah. Sorry, Jack. This is the middle filming.
Pause.
Yeah, just a journal. I hope it is the right one. Sweet. Thank you. So, yeah, he did actually, like, he's such a great keynote speaker because he gave a solution to it.
I'll be curious to hear what it is.
Actually,
Is it that one?
let me see. Nope, it is not. It is not.
But do you
from
briefly
memory, from
remember?
memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he has
Paraphrase.
He has this acronym called CLAP,
Clap.
and it's connection. And then I forgot the rest. But I can give you the version that I learned from my own therapist.
Okay, go for it.
And it's to get your daily dose, which is, we know that technology floods you with dopamine. But getting your daily dose, it's getting your daily dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and what is it?
No, not a
The exercise one. I don't want to say endorphins.
Oh,
Endorphins.
okay.
Yes. So dopamine, it's like saying, looking at something that you really love, just like doing something that you really love. If it's this podcast,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you're feeling blue, get your daily dose. Do the thing that you love, like doing this podcast. Oxytocin, you know, hug the person that you love, hug your family and friends. Serotonin, pet your pet that makes you happy. You know, soft pet. And then endorphins is getting your exercise. Mine was kickboxing, and just getting those in. That is one way that, you know, you can get off your phone and be present in your reality. And all of those require you to be present in your reality.
So basically, like getting off the technology and do those activities to get the four.
Yeah, to get the dose, because what technology does is it gives you short-term gratification of dopamine, but with the daily the dose, you have to be present, and those take a while to achieve. Like if your dopamine is you love reading books, you're not gonna finish a book in like 3 minutes, like in a TikTok video. It takes a while, and you feel accomplished from that. So that one, the experience of reading a book, you know, it's the happiness of that stays with you longer than being on TikTok and kind of like bed rotting for a while, right?
Yeah, that is actually interesting. Is because I never looked at it that way, but I think I've been doing that.
Right.
I was gonna say,
Like
it's your
subconsciously.
son does
Yeah.
something like that.
Is because that dopamine hits, right? So if I watch a YouTube video that's like, oh, like that's kind of fun or whatever, like it gives me that dopamine hit.
Yeah.
And then with the other things, like I go for walks, so that's kind of like the endorphins.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what the other chemicals are, but like me, like for example, making this podcast or editing the podcast, it's like accomplishing something
Right.
helps my my mood level.
Yeah,
It's
your
like, oh, like I
serotonin rises.
actually
Yeah.
did something today. You know, like
Yeah.
I was productive today, so like I felt accomplished. So yeah, like that's actually like a really good I never really broke it down that way, but then now that I think about it, it's like that makes a lot of
Something
sense.
that you're doing.
Yeah.
Humans are achievers, and
Yeah.
they want to be doing something. That's how humans make meaning out of their lives, and whether it's making a podcast in a day, or reading a book throughout a day, or catching up with a friend throughout the day, like they make meaning out of the stuff that they do, and you can't really make much meaning as just kind of scrolling down, right? Like it's very hard to capture all what is going on.
Yeah, because I do feel it when I'm just like consuming a lot. That's when my mood is kind of like
kind of
declining.
Dips a little bit.
Yeah.
I do notice that.
Yeah.
I feel that like how you explained it, I feel like that is the thing that my husband and I have realized for our son, to get him engaged in like the present moment versus the iPad. Because at the end of the day, it's our doing that, he watches like YouTube or iPad and stuff. Because a lot of it, unfortunately, right, becomes a crutch. It's like, we're at work and then we're home, but then we still have the studio, so we're still working. It's like, hey, like, go watch that for 10 minutes, right? But we realize, because it's just happening so often, and he's 6 years old, and I'm like, use your imagination, like and
Play outside.
People are looking at me like, what is imagination? Like, what? But we notice, like, if we're playing with him, or if we're in his room, or if he's playing a game, or if he's sitting next to mom or dad and like cuddling, like he can care less about technology. Right. Like when he goes to my mom's house, that is like the one thing I am thankful for, because they have a yard, so during the summer, he will literally be out in the backyard in the pool, like in their little kiddie pool for like 10, 12 hours. And like not a care in the world, like everything on YouTube he could care less for.
Yeah.
But I think it's because he's getting like that interaction.
There's no need to
scroll
if you're feeling full, right?
It's like the connection. Like he wants the interaction, he wants the connection. He wants to feel like that happiness and the excitement, but when you're not giving it to them, then it's like, oh, well, I'm going to go watch this and, watch other families have fun. That's horrible. God. Jeez.
What a crazy life that is.
I know.
Yeah. It's like our version of watching like Even Stevens.
I know. Yeah. Right.
That Boy Meets the Girl.
No, like, it's so nuts. Like YouTube is just, there's so much. There's like family stuff. There's, adult men doing trick shots for a living.
Yeah, it's a different world for sure than us growing up at that point.
Yeah.
My cousin, she's a content creator with her family on YouTube, and she's like, "Girl, all of this is staged." All is staged. And I was like,
I know. I be looking. I'm like, there's no.
Well, is it like a
this trick shotter?
Is it?
I
Is it
know.
like a
20
vlog?
hours of work?
Like
It's like one of like, she does a lot of like those family games.
oh okay.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, like look who won, or like, oh, like veteran comes home. I'm like, is your husband a veteran?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think he's a veteran.
Oh.
It's crazy.
So that kind of stage. I thought it was just
Don't
like.
believe what you see.
Yeah, don't believe it, guys.
Unless they're.
You know what's funny though? For me, like I noticed when it's not authentic, I feel like I notice it, and it turns me off.
But dude, the 16-year-olds notice.
Yeah, I'm like, my son does not notice that.
Yeah,
All he sees is kids having fun.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like it's. Yeah, some people probably like, oh, like it's
You don't have that critical thinking.
Yeah.
I know.
But like for us, we're like, we know this is fake.
Oh yeah. Like the other day, he was like, "Look, Mom, Ryan's, like hitting his mom in the face with pie," and I'm like, "Okay, like we should try this." No, we should not. Oh, but she lost something 3 times, so he got to hit her 3. I'm like, what?
That's a.
And she's like, "Yay, pie in the face." I'm like, "That's not real life, son. I'm gonna tell you right now." Unacceptable.
So let me ask you, Kathy, like, where are you at with your technology and your level of happiness?
Ooh. So I think I was pretty good. Yesterday I fumbled that because I was upset about something, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna bed rot today.
Yeah.
But after that conference, okay, I'll just give a little preface of what this conference was about. So we had a keynote speaker who's the author that talked about like technology, increase of technology, decrease in happiness. And we broke out into groups, and the point is to meet as many strangers as possible that inspire you or whatever. And the first part of what he was saying to connect in this, we would have table talk conversations with random people. And some of these questions is, what is something that you're grieving that you haven't allowed yourself to grieve?
Oh, so you talk very
Deep.
intimate conversation with
Intimate.
like random
Yeah.
strangers.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
But that brings you connection, right? Like,
Yeah.
don't you feel like more connected to their podcast host or podcast?
Yeah.
Because you guys talk in a deeper level, right?
Mm-hmm.
So having those vulnerabilities opens up for connection. And then there's another conversations that was like, you know, what is something that brings you so much joy? And just having table talk conversations. Like we had those breakouts and then breakout meals. And then we had this thing called the Giving Safari. Let me tell you, this
What
is
is
one of
that?
my favorite things that I've ever done. So pretty much, so we were in Chicago and we were by Hyde Park, which is South Side Chicago. And there's a lot of biases about that area already. And he said, Alex was saying like, hey, like, you know, this is the part where we want to make as much people happy as possible as you meet them. So you have 30 minutes to go to the store, go here's a CVS, here's a marketplace, buy something.
Like in the real world.
In the real world.
Okay.
Find something that you think will make someone happy, and you know, just do anything to make the people happy. And in the past, we've had like people like ask me for advice. Last year, I did like the possibility wheel where someone gets to like turn the wheel, and then I had the board broken down to like dance party or like give candy or affirmation or something like random, but pretty much interacting with the community. And this year, our group of like 6 people, we did a mobile lemonade stand.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it was so cute. We had like lemonade, and then we were inclusive too because we also had like sugar-free lemonade for the diabetic folks.
Nice.
And we also had a board that says, what gives you joy? And it was one of the
So you were just out in the wild and like
yeah, in
doing
South
that.
Side Chicago, where there's a lot of like biases that this is unsafe, right?
Yeah.
So we were walking, and the amount of love that we got from the community, they're like, whatever you guys are doing amazing work. Like this is like you're making people happy. You know, like we had this lady who I believe she was facing house insecurity, and we asked her like, what gives you joy? And she was like, I don't know. Like I have, you know, like she was reading the board where it had post notes of everyone that says what gives them joy. And like people wrote like family, friends, like living here, blah blah blah. And she's like, well, I don't have family, I don't have friends, blah blah blah. She was just saying like she wasn't like, nothing gives her joy. She said God gives her joy, and then she like held on to that. And it was so powerful because we walk daily in our lives without reflecting of the things that make you happy. And the proliferation of technology reminds you of like the things that you don't have, like what we said, like we don't have the idea of body, we don't have the idea of family, all of this. And just being out in the community, connecting and asking them these intimate questions really reminded them of what they should be grateful for. So that was a really cool portion of what we did.
That's really cool.
Yeah. We should do a
That's
giving
nice.
safari here.
I know.
Oh, that might be fun.
Yeah.
Dude.
Mobile podcast.
It's like interviewing
Like,
random
yeah.
people on Submit. Ooh, that would be a good idea. I'd be down for that actually. Just like, because I watched those videos too, and they just like ask like questions like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
I would be so down to do it with you guys.
That'd be fun.
That'd be fun.
We can bring your son too. He would love it. We had kids in the Possibility Festival too. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a little mascot, so he would
Yeah.
totally love it.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
we'll plan something like that. I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
Let's do like an outdoor one. You know?
Ooh.
Yeah. And then a part of the clap acronym that where I forgot the other middle words. The second day we had a workshop of telling our story. And what is like your story, you know, like who made you who you are today? You know, for me that was really difficult to say what my story is because I have this feeling of like my story isn't enough. Like it's not as cool as other people's, or like I don't know, this weird imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
But being able to claim my story and be proud of my story, you know, created so much empowerment within myself. So
Yeah.
Wow.
I asked, yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes you think that your story is bland or boring, not interesting enough, but it's unique to you.
Right.
And somebody's gonna relate to that too.
Right.
Because like I feel like we all have this, like we all have our own story, right?
Right.
And when we share it, yeah, it might not resonate to specific people, but there is somebody out there that's gonna like, oh man, like I really like her story, and like I really like that. And it's just like, that's why I always want people to share their authentic selves. Like I don't want your PR version
Right.
Right,
in the
right.
podcast.
We don't want your
Yeah.
version.
Yeah. It's like I get it, like, you know, like we all want to present ourselves as best as we
Right.
can.
Uh-huh.
But like I'd rather have you like your real you show up in the podcast than just like the most proper version of you.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Absolutely.
But yeah.
I'm curious, you know, what is your guys' story?
Oh shit. You wanna start, Felicia? In what sense? In what sense
That
though?
is a big box.
That's a bit, you can make it 3
Honestly,
minutes long, you know, whatever.
well, it's funny because as you said it, I already like had an answer in my head. Because I think if I can be truthful with myself or honest with myself, I think I'm just now like living my story in a sense, because I feel growing up, you know, with the family that I had, a lot of things that I was doing in my life always catered to others, right? And so a lot of the things that I think who were me at my core were suppressed and kind of put at the back burner for such a long time because, you know, if you're a respectful child, like you essentially grow to be a people pleaser. You know what I mean? Like you're always there to please, and like, you know, that's the culture and that's the respect. But I think there was just like a shift in my life where I'm like, why is this story not working for me? Or like, why am I not liking it? And I think,
Why am I not liking it?
yeah, and I think I've finally found that like courage to slowly say, I don't like that. I don't like that. But I love this. I like doing this. And then just being comfortable enough to start, you know, being who I always was, just couldn't show. Right. And so I think that's why, especially in the last like couple years, there's been such a shift. I mean, like this is new. You know what I mean? Like photography is new, and even just like talking about mental health, or, you know, getting, you know, seeking a therapist and trying to get aid in that sense. There's just so many things that are in my story, but it's almost like it's just a mumbled pot of words right now. And so I think for me, I'm currently in the chapter where I'm kind of taking all of that, allowing myself to relive some of it, right? And then accept that that's what got me to where I am. But now this is the story that I write going forward. And it's for me.
I really like that, Felicia, because I also kind of went through the same people pleaser for so long. And I think I recognized that like in the last couple of years. And I was like telling one of my friends, I was like, it's so crazy when you're like you realize you're a people pleaser, then you stop being a people pleaser because it feels like you have a second life.
Yeah, absolutely.
It does.
Yeah.
And it also will allow you to realize who really should have been part of your life too in the same,
Yeah.
Shouldn't have.
exactly.
Yeah, because like for me, I've done a lot of like, I guess, changes and like growth in the past. I would say for every like 5 years. A lot of it is like experiences, dealing with like relationships, and I've said this on the podcast before. Psychedelics for me was one of the things, the biggest trigger, in a good way, is because it opened my mind to a lot of like different outlook in life, and it's just and I don't know, probably like I'm sure there's science behind it, but like my brain has just been rewired into like think differently. But it's not that it was just like, oh, all I had to do was take psychedelics and everything's good. It was the thing, because like psychedelics for me, it showed me a lot of things that I needed to work on. It was a mirror. And what I saw was like, I didn't like that shit.
Yeah.
Not in a bad trip, but I was like, all right, I need to get my shit together. Like I need to really like work on myself. And actually just like show love to myself instead of just seeking it from other people. Especially in the romantic sense, because like for the longest time I was a people pleaser like everybody else. And I realized that, man, like if no one's gonna like love me, like I'm just gonna have to do it for myself. So I was just like, you know what, like it was so extreme that I was like, it was more like a fuck you, like I'm just gonna like put all my energy to myself. And then I was just like, all right, like once I got that all like figured out and settled, I'm just like, oh, like this is actually like how you should live your life. Like don't think about other people's opinions of you. Just like do whatever feels good to you. Do whatever you want. As long as you're not hurting other people, like you should be allowed to be as selfish as you want.
There's this one quote that I really love is, no one can judge you but yourself.
Exactly. That's why I never.
Love that.
Yeah.
It's funny because I never ask for opinions anymore.
Right.
I just don't ask. I'm just like, fuck it. Like, I don't know. Like, it's so weird like that. I was just like, I don't even ask for advice or anything.
Yeah.
Be-
Because it kind of muddles your own your own opinion of yourself, and I feel like
True.
with the step of loving yourself, it brings the alignment, like what we were saying, like the right people will fall in place, the right opportunities will fall in place once you stop kind of like giving energy to meet everyone's expectation.
Yeah. And I'm not saying the people in my past is like bad people. I
Right,
don't
right.
think of it that way. It was more of like, that was just the experience I needed to experience in order for me to grow. So I just kind of like, I love him for that way. I'm just like, man, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here right now.
Right.
Who I am right now is because of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All the struggles.
Yep.
You're either gifted with struggles or joy, or you got to figure it out, like what you make out of that struggle.
Yeah. And I think like once you figure that out too, it's like growth is always constant. Like, yeah, you fix that one thing, but then there's other things. It's not that you're always broken. It's more of like, I feel like it's just progression all until you're done.
There's this metaphor that one of my friends told me of the infinity of rooms, and it's like, just imagine like you growing and getting better as like your room that you're cleaning. Like you say that your room is so messy, and you're like, oh shoot, I need to clean it up, and then you see a door that leads to another room of the same room but messy again, so you have to clean that one up. So it's like this room of infinity that keeps on going, that you'll never be done transforming or growing, and a quicker realization to that will save you from the pain of, I thought I'm done with this, I thought I'm done with this chapter, like I went through it. You gotta see like life as a game.
Yeah, you just gotta keep on playing.
Yeah.
Because like the next level is the next level is the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always something to game.
Tap me in, coach.
Unless it's scary, don't tap me in.
Because you know how you talk.
Don't tap me in. I'm okay right now.
Because you know how you talk about therapy. You were like, "Oh, I already worked on this one thing, and now
Yeah,
like
now you're back. Yeah.
you're working on the next thing, and it's yeah."
There's this concept that I learned of saboteurs. There's this book that I really love that's called Positive Intelligence by Shazard Shaman, and he got his PhD in neuroscience and MBA in Stanford, but a lot of his research goes about what are the saboteurs in our life. Like my top 3 is hyperachiever, number 3 is people pleaser, number 2 is hyper control. And it's really fascinating because every time I thought I'm done with those saboteurs, I'm like, okay, I learned the lesson. It still shows up in other areas of my life. And now I just made peace with it. I'm like, oh, you're here again, hyperachiever. What do you want from me? You know? And just kind of learn it in that aspect.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a hyperachiever too. Huh.
You should take there's an assessment online.
Yeah.
Oh.
Let me take the assessment first. Try to self-assess.
I'm definitely a hyperachiever. I feel like it just like
Oh man.
Yeah, I feel like you turn and burn the stuff that you do really fast, which is really good. You know? But it's also a hyperachiever part of you.
yeah, because I feel like I have that addiction when it comes to like
Being the best.
no, not necessarily being the best. I just like want to keep doing things.
And it's not just a saboteur thing, it's also your strength. Which
Yeah.
is also
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, it's a
Like I
double-edged
work so hard,
yeah,
and then it's also a good thing and a bad thing because I
Yeah.
work so hard.
because you feel like it's not enough.
And like when I take breaks,
Yeah.
it makes me feel a
Yeah.
little guilty sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah. Anyways, any final words?
Well, I think since we told our story, we should end
Oh.
it
Oh
with
shoot.
Kathy's
I
story.
know you can't just throw the
What?
ball.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't think we're gonna ask you, huh?
She's trying to
Alicia.
she's trying to wiggle her way out of her story.
Oh man, that is so funny. I'd say okay. There's this poem that I wrote because I feel like compartmentalizing emotions like with my story.
Okay.
Oh, I
Easier
gotcha,
through
gotcha.
art forms,
Mm.
and it goes like, I am where the island meets the fish pond. I am where the island meets the fish pond. I am the outcome of growing up in predominantly white spaces. I am the inspired works of Maya Angelou and Martin Luther King. I am from a family of Filipino nurses. I am bold and I am daring. I see the cup half full. I see colors brightly. I am a circle turned into an infinity sign. I am the house music that bumps through my veins. And my name is Catherine Castro. My ancestors named me that, and I will never give up on myself.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
Beautiful.
That
you.
that says a lot about you. I feel like
I
all those
know.
like each line was like, oh, that's a little part of Kathy.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like a lot of my story of struggles really come from like growing up in spaces where I don't look like anyone else.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's your guys' experience in Reno, but it's really, it was really
No.
difficult for me.
It is, but then I never felt that way.
Maybe
I
I was
know.
like so deep in corporate America where I'm like, this is crazy.
Maybe.
This is
Do
crazy
you
out
feel
here.
that way?
I feel like I think eventually, like once I kind of became active in the church, which I no longer am, like I kind of found like the Filipino or what I thought was the Filipino community. But prior to that, I think I was very lost, like especially in school.
When you were a kid?
I have a crazy story. I remember I was in middle school at Billinghurst. I was sitting at the lunch table. Oh, you did?
Wow.
And I remember telling my friends, who most of my friends at the time were like Hispanic,
Okay.
and I was like, "Yeah, I'm Filipino." And they're like, really, Felicia, you're Filipino? I'm like, no, I'm serious. Like, my mom's Filipino. And they're like, stop lying. And like, it was
gaslit
such
you.
it was such a odd experience because for whatever reason, I remember that particular moment. And it was like, oh, who, like, what am I? Like, why did they, you know?
Yeah.
And then it almost like, for some reason, that point like blinded me from like essentially like my mom, like the Filipino community. It's almost like, oh right, you're right. There's like no Filipinos here. Like we don't exist. You know what I mean? Until I ended up, you know, getting into BLD, and that's like a whole other drama thing.
You
but
know, Ian, right?
Ian Cabinilla? Oh shoot, yes I do.
That's my partner.
Yes, I do.
I just,
That was part of that community that
yeah,
I
BLD.
found like when I was young, and then now I'm like, everybody's toxic.
You know, yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah, that is so interesting though, because I never. Maybe I'm just like so oblivious to it, but like I don't know if people were like being racist towards me, but I never really.
But you grew up in Sparks, right? You are around more.
No, I went to Spanish Springs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there's a lot of like definitely more white in there. But then maybe it was like I didn't really care to fit in, so that's probably like, oh, I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
I was
if I was
like
different.
We hung out in the library.
Yeah, like, yeah, because like me and Felicia went to the same high school, so we only had probably like 5-6 people in our like circle in high school that we kind of hung out with. But yeah, I don't know.
I think because I'm like my natural personality is extroverted and I want to like kind of be friends with everyone. There'd be some areas where like people weren't so inviting. I'm like, but I'm the freaking best. Like, why would you have to be friends with me?
Yeah.
And it just felt like there was one thing in common in those rooms, you know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. I don't know. I think I experienced it differently because that like people pleaser comes into play heavily in my childhood.
I feel like I see it a lot more now, especially, you know, being with my husband. Like it's unlocked like a whole new level of like differential treatment and racism, you know what I mean? Because a lot of it is it's like under the rug. Like, you know, it's not in your face, but it's still in your face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you kind of start to pick up on the shifts of energy in a room or how people look at you, or it is interesting. Like I will say, and then sometimes too, like, you know, on the opposite end, like, I don't know, I feel like at every point anybody could be part of that experience. And I think, you know, cause he's Black, so he's experienced it, you know, a lot and can understand it. And I don't think I'll ever understand it like he will, but just witnessing it on a different level is it's unfortunate and very eye-opening. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a different conversation.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do another one, and then we can have Anthony.
Yeah, because there's a lot about like
bring him in. He'll give you a piece of his mind.
Yeah.
Just like different culture, like Asian culture, or just the differences, and just I guess part of like growing up as a Filipino even too.
Yeah, that's a whole nother. And then growing up Filipino mixed is a whole nother.
Yeah, I'm
that's
sure
an
it's
extra whole nother. I mean, you know.
You know what was fascinating when I went to the Philippines this time around? I was like, oh, I'm Filipino American. I was stuck to that like my whole life. I'm Filipino American. I'm proud. And leaving the Philippines this time around, I was like, I'm not Filipino American. I'm more Asian American. I am the melting point point of our like the soup of all Asian American stories. Like I love Korean dramas. I love, you know, my best friend growing up is Chinese. I was around their family a lot. My other friend was Thai and Vietnamese, and like it was such a hodgepodge of Asian American influence rather than just Philippines.
What was the shift? So before you went, you were like, oh, I'm Filipino American. And then after you left, it was just like, now I'm Asian American. What was the
shift?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, we talked about this in this podcast. It's so much the people pleasing for family, the sacrificing of oneself in order to make the family happy.
Yeah.
I'm very much outspoken. I will really challenge like my parents' like thoughts. Like I had a conversation where my dad was like, I don't think a woman can be a president. I was like, oh, you're not saying that here.
She's like,
No, like, I'm gonna challenge your belief right now. So like, I'm very much like I very much go against the grain of like respect. I respect them as always, but I am not submissive to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a big turning point, and like, there's just some toxic traits too.
Well, you just noticed the Filipino culture is just very in a traditional way. You're just like, oh, I don't really agree with a lot of this.
Yeah, I feel like it's very limiting to people's potential. All the guilt and
Yeah,
shame,
I can see that.
right? Like, I don't know, in like some religious context you probably experienced, like you're very limited to what you can do and what you want to be because you have to show face. Like Filipinos have to show face, and you can't be too outspoken.
That's one thing that I don't agree when it comes to that side of the culture. It's the show face.
Yeah.
It's because like I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not gonna be rude,
Yeah. I'm not gonna
but
be-
then I'm just not gonna like I don't agree to that, like whatever it is.
Right.
Like, if I don't agree to it, then I don't agree to it.
right.
So yeah, because like there's a lot of things in the Filipino culture tradition that I don't really agree with. But I don't know, like I don't think it makes me like less Filipino, or like it's not that I'm like, oh, like not trying to claim I'm not Filipino, because I am.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of it, but I'm more of like I'm just very individual.
Yeah, and that's the Asian American experience. The Philippines come from collectivism culture.
Yeah.
And then Americans are very individualistic. And
Yeah.
I feel like collectivism is really great to keep harmony and peace, but then like you lose that individual like greatness that you can carry. It's really fascinating. And what I also notice in the Philippines is there's a difference between like dreaming of America and like the American dream. And a lot of people
Wait, dreaming of explain.
Yeah. Okay. So dreaming of America. So like I have a lot of family that dreams of coming to America. I'm sure that you guys probably have relatives that want to. They call the U.S. the land of honey and gold, honey and milk, because there's just plenty of opportunity here. Then
Financially.
Yeah. Financially, like there's more opportunity here compared to like even if you're a graduate from college there, like you don't have opportunity. So they put America on a pedestal and they're very patriotic about it. But then when you come to America, like it is still a struggle.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
still a struggle.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
To my family in the Philippines,
Yeah.
it is not what you think.
Exactly.
This milk and honey
I
for
know.
free.
It's expired.
It's curdled.
I know.
Yeah, because I think they see
Crystallized.
the best version of it, but then they don't see the behind the scenes of the struggle and like I get it. Like we're a little bit like financially better off here, but then it's still a struggle here.
Yeah. See the proliferation of technology.
I know what you see on social media is not as true as you think. But yeah.
Man.
But yeah, I want to dive into that like some other time, because that's gonna be a really cool conversation to have.
I think so.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for sharing.
No, it's been
Yeah.
so much
That's good
fun.
conversation.
Did you enjoy it?
I did.
Yeah?
It's been
Oh, good.
great. Yeah. I don't think I have any options.
She's like,
Like
no,
you
I
better
hate
enjoy
it.
this shit.
Actually, this sucked.
No. It was really fun talking about like these concepts with you, because I feel like you guys have such a great production here, and
Oh,
you
thank
guys are
you.
very open-minded too, which makes all the difference when having these conversations.
Yeah. It's like for me, like I just want to be open-minded, even if it's your idea is so like far off to either side of the conversation.
Yeah.
It's like I'm always open to, because like at the end of the day, I'm gonna agree to whatever I'm gonna agree with.
Right. Right.
But it doesn't matter. Like I don't really care about other people's
Yeah.
point of view either,
Judgment.
so, Yeah.
You only judge yourself. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's end it with do you want to do your grounding exercise, or
Oh, okay.
because I normally end it with like a final like words or final thoughts about the whatever we discussed, but I mean let's do something different today. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
let's
So-
just, I guess, ground ourselves to like exit out of this broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So I learned this technique, and a lot of people are in their minds a lot, and that's not, you're not being present to your body. So I love engaging the six senses, or the five senses, not the six senses. That'd be crazy.
I probably have.
Oh,
I think I
whatever.
have.
That's another podcast. But you start with taking your two fingers, your index finger and your thumb, and then you just go ahead and close your eyes, and you're going to start rubbing your fingers together until you feel the ridges of your thumbs. And listen for the thing that is furthest away from you. That could be the AC, the cars in the background. Just listen closely for that. And with your next exhale, listen for the thing that is closest to you. And if you don't hear your breath, listen for your breath. And whenever you're ready, open your eyes.
Cool.
Beautiful.
I hope that that
Now,
helps you guys.
more relax.
More relaxed.
So we're gonna mellow this out with an exit.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening.
That was a wonderful podcast.
Great podcast.
See you next time.
See you next week.
Go Stray Kids.
Bye.